It's possible by the time you watch this program, Judge Jackson of the Circuit Court in Washington, D.C. will have been confirmed as a Supreme Court justice. We don't know the exact timing of the vote, but she will be the most radical justice in American history, predictably so today. And Mitt Romney, who had voted against her a year or so ago for a Circuit Court judge, a lower position, and Lisa Murkowski in Alaska and Susan Collins in Maine have done a grave injustice to this nation. When you have an individual who won't define a woman, she won't define a woman, it's because she intends to vote down the line with the radical left on this issue of transgenderism in Title IX, destroying Title IX for girls in schools, a law that's been around almost 60 years now, which is intended to give women an opportunity at sports throughout the public school systems, throughout colleges and universities. We spent a lot of time and money and litigation on this issue. Now it's all going to be wiped out. And if you're a woman in this country or a young girl in this country, you should be appalled, because what this movement is doing, it is degrading women and girls. You can't call a woman a woman. You're supposed to call somebody a birthing person. Isn't that a pejorative? Isn't that a damnable statement? I mean, you're not supposed to be talking about people based on whether or not they can give birth or not, are you? It's a woman. What's the problem? Woman, hear me strong. Who sang Helen Redding? Remember that song? I guess we have to clear that one from the records too. But it's really quite shocking. So she is a clear vote for that. She's a clear vote of somebody who does not believe in the Constitution. How do we know that? Because when she was given a written question on whether she believes in natural rights, she said she doesn't take a position. I want you to read the first sentence of the Declaration of Independence. The first sentence. Because, ladies and gentlemen, natural rights is based on the idea that you as a human being have a natural right to live. You have a natural right to liberty. That's what it means, life, liberty. You have a natural right to pursue what interests you without interference. Now, of course, there are certain types of laws and morality questions, but what's meant by that is there's as de Tocqueville would put it, there's a circle of liberty around each of us that the government or no one is free to molest or penetrate. So if you don't believe in natural rights, or if you don't take a position, quote unquote, on natural rights, you are rejecting the Declaration of Independence. She's smart. She knows this. She went to Harvard. Why wouldn't she know it? And this is what undergirds the core of American society. This is what undergirds Western civilization. Free will. Unalienable rights are all tied to natural rights and natural law. I'll give you an example, and I've mentioned this before, and I've written about this. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong, whether people adhere to it or not. You know what's right in Kansas, and you know what's right in Kiev. You know what's wrong in Rhode Island, and you know what's wrong in Iran. That doesn't mean regimes are going to comply and so forth. But as individual human beings, we know it's wrong to kill people, to rape women. We know all these things are wrong. And yet we all know the golden rule is right. How do we know this? God Almighty, that's how we know it. These are natural rights. These are eternal truths. So when she's asked, do you believe in natural rights? And she says she doesn't take a position, read your Declaration of Independence. That rejects the Declaration. It rejects the idea of a God. It rejects the idea of Western civilization. And if you believe in critical race theory, and she does, there were writings that they found in the past year since she was confirmed for the Circuit Court in Washington, D.C., in which she cites critical race theory for some Georgetown private school. She sat on the board. She promoted it. Critical race theory argues at bottom that this nation is illegitimate, that the United States Constitution and Declaration, that they're illegitimate, that this is a white dominant society that was founded on that kind of an ideology. And so everything that springs from it, the economic system, capitalism, the legal system, the Constitution, are illegitimate, and that you need to predate our history and look at 1619 when a ship landed, and you know the details. A ship landed, and there was slaves involved in that ship and so forth, and that was the founding of the United States, really effectively, of America. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. This isn't to dismiss slavery. Who's dismissing slavery? I mean, we fought a civil war over this issue. But I don't want to get into that right now. I'm just saying, if that is your mindset, on top of the fact that she's weak on child pornography, did you ever think you'd see the day where a person is promoted to the United States Supreme Court who gave weak sentences on child pornographers and those who watch child pornography? Weak sentences. I mean, it's shocking. Absolutely unbelievable. When she was a federal district judge in Washington, D.C., handing out sentences. And some of the things she said as an apologist for legal systems that wants to punish these people, were also appalling. So when you look at her record, it's a disaster. Mitt Romney says she's well within the mainstream. He spoke to her for an hour. He looked at the transcript of the hearings and he thought that she was very well qualified. The same Mitt Romney who voted against her a year ago for a lower court position. There's only 9 justices. Lisa Murkowski said, I met with her. She seems like a very nice woman. We're not voting to see if somebody's a very nice woman, a very nice man, the first black woman, the first whatever. We're voting for somebody who's going to affect your lives for 30 or 40 years, 30 or 40 years. And Susan Collins, of course, was the first out of the box. She didn't read any of the opinions. She didn't wait for the hearing. She just said she seemed like a very nice lady, that she vetted her when she met with her and interviewed her. Now, going back to Mitt Romney won't even endorse Mike Lee, his Republican colleague who's up for re-election to the Senate from Utah. He won't even endorse Mike Lee, but he endorses Jackson for the U.S. Supreme Court. And there's not a single Democrat in the U.S. Senate, not one, who's spoken out against her or who's going to vote against her. And don't give me Manchin. He's all for her. He doesn't represent West Virginia, barely. He'll throw West Virginians a crumb here and there. But everybody has to sit on their edge of their seats. Where's Manchin going to go? His ego is bigger than Gerald Nadler.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to levintv.com and subscribe now.